Hello everyone and welcome to the Mindful Talks wherein we say that fuel your brain, fire up your dreams. I'm your host Vinith. Today I want to talk to the dreamers, the students who wish to make careers in medicines and also the doubters who wants to be a doctor, a surgeon with a fancy degrees but with lack of confidence. We often hear about the terrifying numbers around 22 to 24 lakh NEET aspirants but acceptance rate is just 2.7%. That is the intense cutoff. But today, I want to flip that script and I want to tell you why in 2026 and beyond, there has never been a better time to take the NEET UG. So if you are giving a NEET in 2026, 2027, 2028 or till 2030, or you're a parent or a relative of a medical aspiring child, then this pod is definitely must for you. So to discuss more about this topic in detail, we have with us Professor Durgesh Mangeshkar, Director and Academic Head of IIT whose guidance have helped thousands of students to achieve great fit in the STEM field. With his guidance, students has also excelled well in top-notch colleges like in India, like IITs, NITs, BITS, and many more. Also, we have with us NEET Program Coordinator and renowned Biology Faculty, Dr. Mazia Sid from NEET Masters, which is also a division of IIT. Dr. Mazia is a NEET expert who has been working with the NEET aspirants for more than 10 years now and modestly takes the credit of sending so many students to top government medical colleges of India. So I welcome both of them. Please welcome to the show.
So, audience, parents, students, think about this. India's healthcare sector is projected to hit $610 billion this year. We are seeing an 11% increase in government health spending, new AIMS institutions coming up, and a massive shift of better healthcare systems, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. The world, and especially India, isn't just asking for more doctors, it is asking for a new generation of medical leaders. So whether you are looking for that MBBS seat in a government medical college or looking for any biology-related healthcare and allied career, NEET, that is National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, is the only single golden key. It is the single exam which gives you entry recession-proof career in the country, that is medicine. No matter what happens in the world, what happens with the economy, the people are always going to need good doctors.
Okay, so my first concern is probably because of which I might not prefer medicine as a career for my child. That is long duration of course, that is 5.5 years of MBBS, then 2-3 years of post graduation. It takes 8 to 9 years of time to settle down. So whereas I see any other streams, whether I take engineering or management studies, we have a job in and in just 4 years of graduation, college placements are already a big brother. So earning cycle starts early. So why my child slog for so many years when I think of medicine career?
So basically, medicine is a recession-proof profession, first and foremost. Okay, and ऐसा नहीं है कि 8-9 years के काम करने के बाद the student will start earning. Right. So typically in the 4th year onwards, there are internships and stuff. People earn in the internships. When they go for PG, they can earn up to 60 to 80,000 rupees as stipend. So earning starts from the 4th year itself. ऐसा नहीं है कि 8-9 साल के पढ़ाई के बाद सारे प्रोग्रेस के बाद then you start earning. That's not the case. काफी बार ऐसा लगता है लोगों को, but ऐसा नहीं है. So you can say it's like an earn and learn scheme from 4th year onwards. So therefore, even engineers, when do engineers start earning? Nowadays there is this trend of internships. Some of those elite students from elite institutions do go abroad from 2nd and 3rd year, but they are very rare instances. Generally, a engineering student भी 4th year से ही earn करना शुरू करता है, typically after 4 years. So same thing with medicine. In fact, there is greater job security as far as medical career is concerned because there are very few seats for medicine and there is a huge demand for doctors.
Okay, sir. So you got me there. But what about the years of medico that has to invest studying like a decade and how?
All right. Look, Vineet, we look the NEET journey and the medicine journey as a marathon, not like a 100-meter sprint. I understand that the child has to invest 5.5 years of graduation, then post-grad, and then super PG sometimes. But let's look at the end achievables. Point number 1, if a student is doing medicine, he will be called a doctor after 5 years, right? After that, Like any other careers, the engineers go for MBAs or MTechs or sometimes even PhDs. After CAs, the children do CFAs. So in other streams also, the specialization and the post graduation takes a lot of time. So it's not just that medicine requires this long 8 to 9 years. It is true for the other careers as well.
Okay.
Secondly, after graduation, I believe it is imperative for any graduate to specialize themselves, especially after the advent of AI. Because if we do not specialize ourselves, AI is going to vanish us in a very short time. And thirdly, I believe the adults would agree to this, that if you are a professional in other careers, the person's earning curve reaches a plateau by the age of 45 or 50 years. But if you are a doctor, your earning curve reaches exponentially, it grows exponentially as long as you are physically fit. So there is no early retirement, there are no forceful layoffs, there is no skill replacement by AI, and complementary comes the social status and social credit. So like I NEET Masters always tell my students that do not do medicine just because of your parental pressure or because you are the child of a doctor. Neither you drop medicine because of the long career span. Ask yourself if biology, genetics, medtech excites you. Make yourself stand in front of a mirror wearing surgical scrubs and gown and imagine yourself doing a life-saving surgery. If these things give you goosebumps, if these things excite you, medicine is for you.
I think today we are going to create a lot of NEET dreamers. Concern is for NEET aspirants is that scary number of total NEET aspirants versus the total number of students who are actually get a seat in government medical colleges. I mean, the selection student ratio is so less. So what is your take on this, sir? And how we motivate students to fight this NEET exam with so less number of seats available? So I'm sure that you will be the right person to answer that. So dealing with thousands of students in last 24 years in IIT what is your take on that, sir?
There is apparently competition. So you might say that at national level there are about 23-24 lakh students appearing, totally around 1,28,000 seats at stake for MBBS across the nation. Maybe out of them around 55,000 odd seats in government medical colleges. This is at a national level. If you just zoom down to the Maharashtra level, around 2.1 to 2.5 lakh students are writing the NEET exam from Maharashtra alone. And barely 80,000 to 85,000 students are qualifying NEET. And to qualify NEET, out of 720 marks, you need barely 140 marks. So it has been around 137, 140, 150 kind of range. It has not even crossed 150 in fact. So those students crossing 150 or 140 odd is barely 85,000. And in Maharashtra we have around 14,000 MBBS seats, around 6,000 of them are in the government medical colleges. Out of these 80,000 who qualify typically from Maharashtra, how many are actually making the cut? How many are getting more than 400 marks, 500 marks, 600 marks? If you look at that, you would realize that there are barely 20 to 25,000 students in Maharashtra who are in the competitive grid. Effective competition जो है, apparent competition लगेगा कि 1:35 ratio है, but effective competition is just 1:4, 1:5. So you need to be one out of every 4 or 5 students in Maharashtra to get a government medical college MBBS seat. This is it. So it's not what it seems. लगता है अरे 24 लाख 25 लाख बच्चों में से गवर्नमेंट मेडिकल कॉलेज सीट्स तो हार्डली 55-60,000 है, तो you need to be 1 out of 35-40 kind of ratio. ऐसा उतना शार्प नहीं है. इफेक्टिव कंपटीशन कम है, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 ही है. So therefore it is not that difficult, and this is the case in engineering as well. In fact, in engineering for IITs and all, the competition ratio is even sharper. You need to be in the top 2%, the top 2%, 1 out of every 50 to make it into the IITs. So there you can say the competition is much more difficult. But in medical, though it apparently appears to be so, effectively वैसा नहीं है. So therefore it is very much doable, very much gettable. And if you focus on the effective competition, because many students start preparing for NEET after 11th standard. Some in fact just join a crash course for NEET and prepare for NEET. So NEET requires at least 2 years of dedicated preparation, and that too under right mentors, with the right environment and in the right methodology. Then it works out. And in recent times you see even the NEET physics paper is becoming difficult. And because it is becoming difficult, you cannot just mug up things and crack NEET. You need to mug up things also, but you need to understand things also, you need to learn to apply things also. All 3 skills need to be developed for a NEET aspirant. So not everybody is able to do that. So if you study right, there is not effective competition, not much effective competition. If you don't study, obviously there is a lot of competition.
That sounds like a breather for so many aspirants, and definitely even other exams entrance, like you said, that competition is crazy, whether it's IIT, JEE, CA, CLAT. But ma'am, I have randomly heard from some students that getting government seats in Maharashtra is easier than getting seats in states like UP, Delhi, or other states in India.
This wasn't true until 2022 or 2023, but 2024 was a game changer. So let me tell you, in Maharashtra itself, in the year 2025, we have 95 medical colleges, out of which there are around 44 GMCs, government medical college, and rest are private. Few 5 to 6 are deemed. So when we talk about the total number of medical colleges in Maharashtra, obviously we are amongst the first three, followed by Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh. Now the total number of seats in Maharashtra is around 14,200, and out of which there are 6,000 which belong to the government medical college MBBS, rest are for private, and 5,800 for private, and I believe around 2,400 or 500 for the deemed. So considering only the number of seats that are in MBBS seats for the GMCs, because obviously government medical college is the dream of every NEET aspirant. So 6,000 seats is a very decent number to fight for. अगर किसी बच्चे को हम बताएं कि भाई तुम्हें सिर्फ एक सीट चाहिए, and there are 6,000 seats for you, तो I think this is itself a very motivating number. Why not?
Right. So the question is not that how many are competing, but the question is that are you ready to be in that top 3%?
Exactly. And this stands true for all the elite entrance exams, like Sir said, IIT, JEE, NEET. This stands true for all the elite exams, because we are targeting to be in the topmost strata of the society.
Right.
So definitely that competition has to exist, and you need to fight for it. But as Sir said, the numbers aren't that scary. I would just like to add this info to our audience as well. Probably there would be many who are not aware of it, that in the year 2024 itself, Maharashtra came up with 10 new government medical colleges in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. For instance, I remember this GMC Gadchiroli, which is one of the recent addition in the eastern region of Maharashtra. Then there is GMC Ambarnath, Amravati, Buldhana, GMC Bhandara, GMC Hingoli, Jalna. So, there were 10 new government medical colleges that came up in 2024, which suddenly pushed the seats, the MBBS seats, from 5,000 to 6,000, in fact 6,000 plus. So this expansion, I'll tell you why this expansion is happening. This expansion is a part of state one district, one medical college policy. That's so wonderful. Actually, I tell my NEET aspirants that you're lucky to be in a state like Maharashtra, wherein the government is planning one district, one medical college policy. So what happens is that once the system comes with such type of schemes, the idea is to reduce the number of students who are going abroad for medicine, and to reduce the number of students who, out of their dreams, out of the parents' dream, have to pay the heavy fees of the private medical colleges. So with these colleges, students can go to GMCs with affordable fees and
So you
do
mean to say
MBBS.
that all these new colleges, 10 new colleges which you have mentioned, these were added in 2024 itself?
Yes, in 2024 itself, and that too during the counseling season, the college allotment season, and because of this, the cutoff significantly lowered. For example, I remember that the cutoff for SGS Mumbai in the first counseling was 580, and with the opening up of these new colleges, the cutoff, I remember the GMC Gadchiroli gave admission to a student at a score of 504. So, this was such a big advantage to the students from that year onwards.
We would like to more about this counseling thing, sir. What is this counseling thing for the NEET?
See, they have a centralized admission process governed by the government of Maharashtra's Health Education Department. So essentially it is 4 rounds, round 1, round 2, then there is a mop-up round, and then there is a special round after that also. So essentially it's called a stray round, that special round is called a stray round. So typically students who are getting good scores, they manage to get admission in the first or second round itself. But those who cannot make the cut, there is also a possibility in the third round, which is a mop-up round, and also in the stray round. Sometimes cutoffs drop by almost 50 marks or 100 marks across the board. So even if a child has got, let's say, around 500 plus, usually many times in the first round the cutoffs can be sometimes 600 plus for MBBS government medical college. But even if your score is just maybe 505, 510, 515, there is hope if you stay put till the third or fourth round. So students and parents must keep this in mind, that counseling itself is another game. Even if your score is less, sometimes by playing the counseling game properly, despite having lower scores, you can get admission to a coveted seat in a coveted college. Many times students lose hope after first and second round, they just exit or they just accept whatever is available. But if they manage to endure and continue and hedge their bets in the third and fourth round, sometimes some pleasant surprises can come their way in the third and fourth round. So it's a 4-round process. Typically you have to write your preferences, and based on your NEET marks, each student is basically considered. So let's say I am a student, I have a rank of let's say 10,000. So a student higher than me, 9,999, he will be considered first, he or she. And all that student's preferences will be scanned, and which is the first feasible preference which the child can get based on the NEET marks will be allocated. Right. And then only the algorithm comes to me. It's not horizontal scanning, it's vertical scanning. So many times students and parents feel that first choices of everybody are taken first and then the second choices. That's not the case. All your choices, preferences will be taken of the rank number 1, then rank number 2, then rank number 3, like that. So you have to put your preferences also wisely, and there is a lot of scope to, based on cutoffs of previous years, you can strategize how the preferences must be made to maximize your chances to get admission into the coveted college. So it's another game. Besides cracking NEET exam, you need to also focus on how to play this counseling game very smartly.
Right.
Yeah.
But sir, now let's talk about the NEET prep routine, because we have seen that so many teachers saying that 8 to 10 hours self-study routine is the key to selection. But for 2 years of the NEET preparation journey, do you think that this 10 hours daily, the child will feel exhausted and burn out?
See, there are 3 aspects we need about it. First and foremost, you need to understand that nobody is expecting a child to continuously study for 10 hours in a day. There are breaks in between, okay? So 2 hours studies and again a break, again 2 hours studies, or you can study in 3 hours at a stretch and then take a break for an hour and then continue like that. So first and foremost, it's not a continuous 8 or 10 hour regimen ever recommended. If you look at NEET Masters, where we do a NEET coaching, we have a structured program classified into 3 phases. Okay, so there is a initial foundation phase, then there is a consolidation phase, and there is a last level sprint phase. So in the initial foundation phase, which lasts typically 6 to 7 months in 11th standard till Diwali, you need to study about 6 hours per day. You're not supposed to study 10 hours per day. Okay. Once your appetite for learning improves and grows, then the next consolidation phase, which is a longer phase of maybe about 12 months or so, from this Diwali of 11 to 12th standard Diwali, the child is expected to put in about 8 hours a day. So that time you need to again distribute your study load into 3 subjects. In fact, it's not 3 subjects. If you really see NEET syllabus, physics is 1 subject, you can say. Chemistry is 3 subjects, physical, organic, inorganic. And biology is again 2 subjects, or at least again 3 subjects, because botany, zoology and general biology. So you can say there are at least 7 subjects that a child is studying. So once you distribute your study time amongst various subjects, there is no boredom which will come. And if the child really starts liking a particular subject, that's when the chemistry changes. So, it's very necessary that you need to, as a teacher or a mentor, we need to infuse that interest of learning in the student. And if the student starts loving the subject, then, studying 2 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours doesn't matter. See, students watch IPL game, T20 match for 3 hours at a stretch. Do they get bored? No, because they love it. Can they watch a movie for 3.5, 4 hours? Of course they can, because they love it. So what you love, you have no problem about time duration. The time duration issue comes only when it comes to studies, because you are supposed to do something which you don't like. So why should we not challenge that basic paradigm? Let's make the child love the subject. Then it doesn't matter. In fact, we'll have to stop the child then from studying. He will say, not 10 hours, I can study for 20 hours in a day. And that's what happens with very passionate kids we have seen. Those who really start loving these subjects of physics, chemistry, biology, then for them 10 hours is a breeze. It happens very smoothly. 10 hours is a burden only when you don't like a subject. So the first thing to break for us in the foundation phase itself, we do it, is to start getting them interested in the subject. Alright, we do it by a variety of mechanisms, but once that is done, the major issue is resolved. But we expect 6 hours in the consolidation phase, then 8 hours in the, in the foundation phase 6 hours, then consolidation phase 8 hours, and then 10 hours studies in the last 6 months from Diwali of 12th standard till the NEET examination. So it is when you gradually build it up and you take breaks in between, you distribute across different subjects in a day, and you do it with interest and passion, I tell you these studies are not at all difficult. And when they go into medicine thereafter, when in MBBS studies, when they go for MD, they need to study for 12 plus hours. So that stamina building needs to be done. So when you want to invest your career and time in medical studies, the child must know that it's not study just for an entrance exam, it's going to be there for life. So they better like these subjects.
For that subject.
Yes.
Okay. So sir or ma'am, in any entrance exam, what's the role of test series you feel? How frequently giving test series are so important? And also what shall be this frequency of this test?
Okay, so Vineet sir, as sir said that in a NEET exam, a very important aspect is how to approach the exam. I personally call it as an exam giving skill. So apart from all the subjects that we were talking about, physics, chemistry, biology, there is another aspect which actually determines your selection is the exam giving skill. So tests are very, very important across the 2-year plan, and which we also take care of very nicely and very deliberately in the NEET Masters program of ours. I'll just share a few tips and tricks that a child need to focus on while giving the mock test. So I believe so the duration of the mock test shall be once in 15 days, which we are already doing it with the students.
Yes.
And some of the key points that the child shall introspect after every mock that he gives is: number one, categorize every wrong answer. The why factor is very important. Why did I go wrong? मुझे concept याद नहीं आया. There was a conceptual error. There was a silly calculation mistake. I did not read the keywords of the question. Not, incorrect, against, except. These keywords of the question which completely flips the answer. So first thing, understand and categorize the wrong questions. Why did it go wrong? Secondly, analyze the guessed questions. Tukka maar diya. Now, even if your answer was correct by a fluke, do not give credit to yourself. Go back to that particular concept, read it again, assuming that you did it wrong. So there has to be no guesswork in the main exam allowed, and that is why you are allowed to do errors in the mock and analyze it. Thirdly, evaluate time distribution. NEET is a game of time management. I always tell my children, biology 85 plus questions has to be done in 45 minutes. आप तभी फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री में ध्यान पूर्वक अच्छे से कर पाओगे जब आपने बायोलॉजी 85 प्लस क्वेश्चंस 45 मिनट्स में करेक्ट करके रख दिया है. Physics, at least I think the best person to talk about physics will be sir after I finish, but physics I believe around 32 to 33 questions out of 45 is a decent score, and it could be done in 60 to 65 minutes. 1 hour आपको देना ही पड़ेगा physics के लिए. It is difficult comparatively. Chemistry में out of 45 questions अगर बच्चा 35 to 38 questions भी correct कर रहा है in again 1 hour 55 minutes or 1 hour 60 minutes, I think he is through the selection to a government medical college. But the key is biology has to be 85 plus questions out of 90 in 45 minutes in the first hour itself. Last के जो 5-10 minutes बचते हैं, the child can review the questions. The fourth part is the reviewing the unanswered questions, which is very important. Fifth, I would like to talk about the OMR discipline. Make sure that you have filled all the bubbles correctly, you have darkened them properly. With this, I remember a very amusing story of one of my student. He shared this after the NEET exam, a very unfortunate one actually for that particular year. He became so panicky during the exam that he vomited on the OMR sheet. And when he went to the invigilator, very bright student, and obviously that brought anxiety. So when he went to the invigilator said that, beta, I would have given you a different question paper if the question paper would have been tampered, but I cannot give you an OMR sheet. So children, OMR sheet is the most sacred entity of yours in that 3 hours. Do not mess up with it anyhow. And lastly, one of the very important thing we need that I want to share is, which I don't know, hardly the students do it despite of telling so much. make an error notebook, bachcho, and make sure that after every mock test you are writing your errors, and that this will help you reflect on your errors after every test, so that you do not repeat the same error in the big day.
Right.
So these are some of the key points that a child shall look into after the mock test.
But sir, as ma'am said that, so do you think that physics is the best trick to solve first out of those 45 questions?
No. As ma'am said, biology deserves the attention first. It is constitutes 50% of the NEET paper. It is the most scoring part of the NEET paper. And a student who is aspiring to get into a GMC MBBS needs to score 600 plus or so high scores, must first conquer biology. So, I mean, at least 85 out of 90 questions, as ma'am said, you need to have them in your bag. Because when it comes to chemistry, which is next, and then finally physics. So physics ideally must be attempted last, because physics involves application of concepts, setting up some mathematical equations, solving them. It takes time. And given 2025 as a benchmark for NEET exam, physics is becoming increasingly difficult. So many questions of NEET are now matching JEE mains level. So they take more time. Because see, NEET, if you see 180 questions, 180 minutes. Actually, for the entire paper, you just have 1 minute per question. But many questions in physics paper and some in chemistry require more than 1 minute per question. Even if you solve it right, if you understand the question and start solving it right, it will take you 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So therefore, choosing your questions in physics is the key. And since you have a pen and paper exam as on today, going through the entire physics paper first, maybe for the first 2-3 minutes, to identify which questions sound familiar to you, which questions look easy to you, which questions are belonging to your strong topics. So the easy, familiar, strong topic questions must be attempted first. And then you can attempt the rest of the questions. Out of 45 questions, if the child ends up attempting around 32, 33 questions, as ma'am said, in physics, you have a fair chance of scoring decently, and your overall tally can cross 600. Assuming you have done well in biology, assuming you have done well in chemistry also. And in NEET Masters, we conduct tests once in 15 days during the learning phase. But once the syllabus gets over, we are having tests every day almost. So they have enough number of tests to analyze. And error analysis is very important, as ma'am said. Students must understand there are 4 types of errors. Basically, there's a conceptual error, there's a technique-based error, there's an information-based error, or a silly mistake. So there are 4 types of error. Which type of mistake the child has made more, you have to work on that type of error differently. Like conceptual error jada ho raha hai, then you should study that topic again, because conceptual error means your concepts are still not strong. You should practice more problems of that topic so as to reduce your conceptual errors. If it is like information based errors, you are not read enough, you are not memorized enough. Before the exam, you have not gone through those formulas, those results, those important key information facts, and all those mnemonics and all those mind maps you have not grasped before the exam. That's why you seem to have forgotten few things. Silly mistakes again is not because of your studies, but because, like ma'am said, sometimes students get panicky in the examination and your mind is not in the present moment. When the mind is not relaxed and centered and not in the present moment, you tend to commit silly mistakes. So it is necessary that you need to follow certain type of practices. If you do some yoga, meditation, pranayama on a daily basis, you're likely to be more centered, more calm during the examination. Or if you have lots of practice of mock tests, your exam temperament gets seasoned enough so that in the exam also you are rock solid. So that reduces silly mistakes.
Summarize that to our listeners that let's take a note or recap. There are 3 key points in post-test analysis. That is, first, always categorize every wrong answer, analyze the question that you guessed and mark, and of course the time distribution, as you both mentioned. Like a very well thought, curated, and of course a strategy formed over the experience of so many years. But despite this, ma'am, there will be students who might not clear the cutoffs. Like for BJ Medical College, one of the reputed colleges from Pune, as you said that it's a crown jewel. So for these colleges like SGS or KM, and they get colleges in tier 2 or tier 3 cities. They do not get this college, but they get colleges in this tier 2 or tier 3 cities. So does it impact the quality of medicine that they study in top colleges and this mid-level GMCs?
No. If you ask me today, had this question been put on me 2 years back, I would have agreed to this. Yes, it does, but not today. Why? Thanks to the National Medical Commission and the National Health Commission, they are coming up with an exam called as the National Exit Test.
Okay.
Yeah, which is expected to start from 2026 itself this year. So, National Exit Test, it is a single test for the students after their MBBS that they will have to give in order to obtain license for practice and also admission to the PG courses. So it's a single exam that every student after their medical graduation has to give, whether he has done his MBBS from AIIMS Delhi or any private college. So but now once all the students from all the medical colleges are giving a single entrance, a single exit test, this college ranking doesn't make a difference. So whether you are from a Mumbai college or you are a college from Gadchiroli, doesn't matter. If you have your theory well, if you know your clinical skills well in the medicine, you have practiced and you have studied hard, I think the outcome is will be completely dependent on the marks of the national exit test and not the college from where you belong to.
Okay, but we realize the glory of medicine around us. I believe that biology is a futuristic subject.
Yes, it
so,
is.
what are the career options that we have in and around biology, and that can give like students rewarding careers?
Okay, so the conventional ones that parents know of is MBBS, dental, Ayurvedic, homeopathy, Unani, Siddha medicine is also coming up. Apart from that, I actually learned it from Durgesh sir only the other day that we were just discussing it that now there are times when the mathematics and biology are coming as a convergence.
Okay.
So with this convergence, there are a lot of streams coming up, biotechnology, genetic engineering, bioinformatics, which deals about a lot of data and statistics, bioinformatics, then there is computational biology. And the other day I was just also reading about one very fancy courses called as the biodesigning. It talks about how to make artificial tissues, tissue regeneration, regenerative medicine हम इसको बोलते हैं. Looking into the crazy increasing pollution, green energy, green biology. So these are some of the very fancy career options that I would say that are coming out of biology and mathematics together.
Yeah, there are very promising careers.
Yes, definitely. Biology has been futuristic, and along with the integration of mathematics, I think students can make so much out of their degrees now.
Okay. Alright, so I believe that we have talked through all these aspects related to NEET, healthcare, Indian medical system, and now my last question out of curiosity that amongst so many coaching institutes teaching for NEET in Pune or currently in India, how the NEET Masters is different and how you are creating an impact?
See, basically for any 2 years coaching program, for whether it is NEET or for JEE, there are basically 4 aspects which are very much important, 4 pillars we can call them. One is of course the teaching without difficulty system, which is good here in NEET Masters. It may be good in many other places. We have excellent study material, which is very well composed. Students and parents can have a look at it, which is rare to find such systematic study material available. So that is the second pillar. Third is the testing system, which is to be, of course, high quality tests with minimum or no errors, plus lot of ways to analyze those tests. So test analytics are very important. So that is something which NEET Masters and IIT-PK has always had the tradition to focus on. A lot of test analytics get generated, which is rarely done in most other institutions. And the fourth part is continuous counseling guidance. Because to how to study at home, how to prioritize your studies, how your daily regimen should be, because it is not the same for 2 years. Every 6 months it needs to change. Right. So that kind of guidance is necessary. Plus these are teenagers we are dealing with, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Right. So they sometimes get depressed, sometimes get nervous, sometimes they get confused. So a lot of counseling, a lot of mentorship is needed. So that is something provided by NEET Masters. And 2-3 additional things where NEET Masters stands out is our batch size is less than 40 students. Okay. Usually NEET coaching, we have heard that in some parts of India, there are even 400, 500 people sitting in one classroom. And sometimes it's very common in Pune, Mumbai to have 80 students, 100 students, 150 students stacked in one classroom. It's impossible to accord personal attention to any student. Right. So in a small batch size of 25 to 40 students, NEET Masters does that. We have high-tech classrooms, so we use digital boards. Otherwise, many times in many NEET institutions, teachers spend a lot of time drawing those complex biology diagrams, Here you can have beautiful animations, videos and images which can be shown to students on the digital board, and a lot of simulations can also be shown. So that makes the whole learning journey and even teaching journey for teachers very exciting and very interesting. So as I mentioned in the earlier part, that generating interest in the child is very crucial. So it is facilitated by a smaller group, by a more engaging and an interactive group, and also with digital boards and of course ACs and backup facilities of course there. Another aspect where we feel there is a lot of blind spots which any coaching institution having humans has is basically a teacher, no matter how skilled a teacher may be, how dedicated a teacher may be, it's impossible to identify gaps in learning of each child. So you can have generalized coaching systems in any coaching institution, but you cannot have personalized learning pathways given to each child. You cannot gamify it for each child. So identifying gaps in their learning, identifying weaknesses in their entire mastery of the whole syllabus, and then providing them some kind of remedial learning, micro learning courses and stuff like that to remedy their weakness. This can be done by technology, by AI. So we in NEET Masters have aggressively used AI, and that helps any child to identify his or her own weakness and then plug that gap through proper remedial learning processes. So this is something which is almost impossible for any human teacher to do. So therefore this is where technology comes into play. So NEET Masters uses of course seasoned teachers are there, human faculties have to be used, but at the same time using tech and AI to ensure that whatever are the blind spots, whatever are the gaps which are possible, the limitations which are there for humans, that gets plugged. So students get a complete 360-degree learning experience in NEET Masters, and all this is available at a very affordable fees. We don't charge a bomb because we are a large institution, so we can subsidize the fees to students. We have a huge engineering batch also. So we believe that a doctor is far more valuable in society than engineer. This is a little controversial statement, but I feel that from a humanitarian point of view, a doctor has much more value to add as compared to any engineer can do. Engineers can maybe add comfort and luxuries in life, maybe make things easy and more efficient, but doctors save lives. Right. Doctors preserve health of students. So it is a very big difference. So that's why we also feel it's a social service. It's not just a business. And therefore with that sentiment and with that approach, the whole complexion of the course, the whole tenor of the course changes. Right. So this is how NEET Masters distinguishes itself from most other institutions which are available in any part of India.
Yes. So I must say that you're a STEM career architect. So.
Yeah, you can say that. Here the M starts for medicine.
Medicine, yeah.
Otherwise STEM is science, technology, engineering, math, but here M for medicine in NEET Masters.
Right. Okay, so thank you very much to everyone listening. This was the NEET Mindset Matters on the Mindful Talks. Take care of your mind, trust your preparation, and keep moving forward. Myself, Vinith, signing off. Thank you very much.